Do you remember when I was at Fox, I told you this prediction? And it wasn't really a prediction. I knew it to be true because I looked at the patterns. Do you remember this chalkboard?
I put this up and said, radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists will work together against Israel, against capitalism, and work together to overturn stability. There are radicals, globalists, Islamists, all working together. Radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists will work together against Israel, work against capitalism, work together to overturn stability. Let it be my tombstone. I was hammered for it. Radicals, Islamists, communists, socialists, all working together against Israel? This has nothing to do with Israel. This has everything to do with freedom.
And they all said that they would never work together. That chalkboard is everything you need, except there's one thing that I left off that chalkboard that I'm going to add today. But let's start here. All of the players, their motives, their objectives. If you miss this one giant chalkboard dot, you're going to be lost. And let me show you. Something happened this weekend in New York City that, should have stopped the entire country dead in its tracks if you knew the chalkboard. Outside Gracie Mansion, the official residence of the mayor of New York, protests, two of them, collided. One was protesting what organizers called the Islamification of the city, and the other counter-protest was against them. Okay. In the middle of that clash, according to the New York Police Department, a man lit and threw an improvised explosive device, an IED. When's the first time you ever heard of an IED? Oh, that's right. That's what Iran created to blow up our soldiers. Okay? Police later confirmed it was not a smoke bomb or a hoax. It was a real device. It was a jar packed with screws and nuts and bolts and a fuse. And if it would have gone off, it would have caused massive injury and death. Okay? 2 suspects were arrested. Federal authorities have opened a terror investigation. Thankfully, it failed to detonate. But that's not the troubling part of the story. The most troubling part is what happened afterward. The new mayor of New York condemned the protest itself as hateful and racist. But he avoided acknowledging the ideological context behind the attack on the other side. At the same time, there are reports circulating that the mayor's own wife had a previously liked social media post celebrating the October 7th Hamas attack against Israel. Posts ranging from the breach of Israel's border to describing it just simply as resistance. Okay, so why does any of this matter? Well, because leadership matters. Tone matters, and what leaders excuse or refuse to confront often becomes what a society learns to tolerate. But that's not enough. America today is facing a problem that many of our political leaders refuse to even describe because they're cowards. Mamdani's not a coward. He's different. There is this growing ideological alliance between two movements that have historically had two very different worldviews, radical Marxism and radical Islamism. Okay? At first glance, if you're an idiot or a boob that has studied this the whole time, and then you get on and you're like, I'm Bill Kristol, and I know those two groups never work together. Okay, Bill. One is secular, one is revolutionary. One is religious, one is authoritarian. Or are they both? Because history will show us something really, really important. When movements share the same enemy, that enemy being Western civilization, capitalism, or liberal democracy, which when I mean liberal democracy, what I mean is that people choose their own future. These two groups always form a temporary alliance, okay? Notice I said temporary alliance. Political scientists call it the Red-Green Alliance. And the most important example of that alliance happened in Iran in 1979. When the Iranian Revolution happened in 1979, I was a kid. I barely remember this, but it wasn't just the clerics that were protesting the Shah. Who else was there and played a maximum role in that? It was students and Marxists and communists and secular revolutionaries. And they band together with the Islamic clerics, and they all marched arm in arm, hand in hand. Left-wing guerrilla groups and communist parties helped destabilize Iran. Then the Islamist networks mobilized all of the mosques. So this has been talked about over and over and over again. It is the red-green alliance, and intellectuals have gone into it with all kinds of books and everything else. This is really well known, but nobody will talk about it, okay? And together they overthrew the Shah. And then something predictable happened. Once the Islamists consolidated power under the Ayatollah Khomeini, they turned on their former Marxist allies. The communists were imprisoned, the revolutionaries were purged, they were executed, and they were tortured. Wait a minute, I thought they were partners in this. Glenn, you just said they worked together. I did. To destabilize the Western world. I didn't go into what happens after, did I? I was just trying to say, look at these people. They are connected. This is a connected movement. And that nobody could understand that at the time because it was 15 years ahead. But now you can see it. They are connected. So now it's time to add something else to the chalkboard. History recorded this lesson very clearly. Temporary revolutionary alliances often end with one side eating the other. And the pattern didn't end in Iran. You can see the echoes of it in a whole bunch of other places, parts of Europe, particularly France and Great Britain. Analysts have warned about the political cooperation between segments of the far left and the Islamist activist movements inside urban political coalitions. Do you know who just controls the Green Party now in England? Who just took over? The radical Islamists. The Green Party is now an Islamist party. But they're also Marxist. See, they'll work together. These alliances form around the shared opposition to the West, Israel, capitalism, and national identity. The left provides the political shield. The Islamists provide the mobilization and the grievance narrative. And together they build a coalition powerful enough to reshape our institutions. We're watching versions of this emerge in Western cities today. Look at the map. In the United States, New York, Dearborn, Minneapolis, parts of Texas, and those are just a couple of them. These are places where radical political movements and radical religious ideologies are marching under the same banner. And when the violence happens, the first instinct is not to confront the ideology. It's to silence the discussion. That's what's going to get us all killed. And anyone who raises the concern is either a conspiracy theorist or a bigot or whatever. But refusing to talk about the ideology and what's actually happening does not make it disappear. It allows it to grow. So let me say something really super clear. I don't have a problem with Muslims. There's a lot of Muslims in America that want to live here, moved away from that crap. They know exactly what it is. They're Americans. They work, they raise families. They want the same thing that you and I want. And they don't want any of that crap. But it's happening. America should always remain open to immigrants who want to become Americans. It's one of our greatest strengths. But the Islamists and the Marxists are shipping people here that don't want to be an American. And that openness cannot mean blindness. Because among the millions who cross our borders or enter our political institutions, there are a lot of them now that want to not join America, but change it into something else entirely. And when these people openly celebrate terrorism, justify violence, throw bombs into crowds, you have to have the courage to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. This isn't about your religion. It's not about your race. Ideology matters because history shows that civilizations don't collapse from a single attack. They collapse when they lose the ability to recognize the attack for what it is. Iran learned that lesson in 1979. Europe is learning it right now, and America is seeing the early warning signs. The solution, of course, is not hatred. Hatred destroys nations. The solution is also not naive or stupid compassion. Look away from the danger. No. We can chew gum and walk at the same time. We can see the danger and also not hate. Welcome those who come here to be Americans the right way, and remove those who came here the wrong way, and those especially who have come here to change or harm America. And that means deporting the individuals who openly support terrorism. That means refusing to tolerate violent ideological movements, period, no matter what side. It means having the courage to discuss the problem honestly, even when it's uncomfortable. Because the most dangerous moment any civilization ever faces is not when the extremists appear, because the extremists have always been here. They've always existed. The most dangerous moment is when leaders and citizens convince themselves that speaking about the threat is worse than the threat itself. That's how societies drift into disaster, and we cannot. It's not too late to pull back on the reins, but it is growing late. The stakes are not politics. It's not. The stakes are the survival for the American idea. The idea that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. You know that there are Marxists now, and there are those, I'm going to get into the fraction on the right here today. There are those in the right who are saying the problem is liberal democracy. The problem is that people have too many rights. Nope, that's not the problem. Because you know who gave me those rights? God. So how are you telling me that God is against me having rights? Doesn't really work, does it, Satan? Oh, gosh. Let me add one thing to this. The Islamics, the socialists, the communists, the radicals will work together to destabilize Israel, Europe, and the entire Western world. Then, here's the addition, then the most vicious will kill, torture, and imprison the others. Marxist, you think you're so smart. Mamdani, I'm not sure if he is a Marxist or a Islamist. I have my own view on that, but I don't know what's true or not. But I will tell you this. He's the nexus. He's the nexus. He's the one that can put them both together. Half of that crowd is going to be very, very disappointed when they're being tortured and killed in the end. Both need to be stopped.